Israel's Operation Rising Lion, remember, targeted Iran's nuclear infrastructure, targeting sensitive facilities in Isfahan, Natanz, Fordow, as well as a nuclear research center in Tabriz, where the IDF claims to have destroyed a military airbase. In fact, Israel claims Iran's nuclear centers are a threat to its survival. Also, the International Atomic Energy Agency confirming that the above-ground pilot enrichment plant at Natanz was destroyed. Damage was also reported to the site's electric infrastructure, raising concern over potential centrifuge failures. And the agency also noting that the level of radioactivity outside the nuclear site remained unchanged and at normal levels, indicating no external radiological impact to the population or the environment.
The type of radiation present inside the facility, primarily alpha particles, is manageable with appropriate radiation protection measures.
Of particular concern is the strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. It has been reported that the Natanz enrichment complex, which houses both the fuel enrichment plant and the pilot fuel enrichment plant, suffered significant damage, including centrifuge cascade calls.
And experts saying the destruction of underground facilities at Natanz and Fordow may not have been possible without the support of the U.S. military and bunker buster bombs. In fact, the Israeli Prime Minister calling the operation one of the greatest military actions in history and urging Iranians to unite against their regime.
The Islamic regime, which has oppressed you for nearly 50 years, threatens to destroy my country, the State of Israel. The objective of Israel's military operation is to remove this threat, both the nuclear threat and the ballistic missile threat to Israel. More is on the way.
Sources saying at least 20 Iranian military commanders and 6 nuclear scientists were killed in the attack. And China condemned Israel's military actions against Iran and its nuclear facilities and advocated for a nuclear weapon-free zone in West Asia. In fact, Israel signaling that this is only the beginning of a broader campaign and that it will not stop until its mission is completed. And in the latest, we also played out for you what the Israeli Prime Minister has said, talking about how every site and every target of the Iranian regime will be targeted. And let's just now give you a sense of what some of the experts we've been speaking to had to say regarding the situation at this point.
Other allies of Ukraine had already agreed to supply missiles that hit targets which are about 300 kilometers away from Ukraine. Now, the Taurus, which has been discussed since 2 years already, has a reach of maybe 500 kilometers. And to not supply it, as obviously is not going to happen, not to supply it to Ukraine, but to agree to help Ukraine to build it itself, is most of all a signal towards Russia. Look, we're going to do more. We're not shrinking back because you're continuing your war in Ukraine. Now, is this bringing peace, is your question. Who can answer that? Even Russia, I think, is not sure where in the end they will go. They have agreed with President Trump on negotiating, but they didn't enter negotiations. They had agreed on an armistice that then didn't implement it. So it is very difficult to know the strategy of Russia.
The Israelis have relatively enormous capabilities militarily, strongest military in the region, one of the strongest best trained, best equipped militaries in the world. And the Iranians have quite a few ballistic missiles at their disposal. The estimate was that Iran had more than 3,000 ballistic missiles. Some of those were degraded last October. More of them were hit again by Israel at the start of this attack. But if they've still got a couple thousand ballistic missiles, so far they've only fired little more than 200 at Israel, and we're already seeing damage inside Israel. Iran can overwhelm Israel's Iron Dome and David Sling and their other defense systems, and can inflict heavy damage in Israel. Israel can apparently inflict unlimited damage inside Iran. So
we cannot be sure. Now, what we have been told, and this is dealing with a Trump administration not known for transparency and being very clear. The president claims that he was aware of the Israeli plans. We certainly know that the US several days ago was withdrawing non-essential forces, so it's clear that they did have prior knowledge. But prior knowledge doesn't necessarily equal for certain that it was in some way complicit in the sense that it fully agreed, backed, or enabled such attacks. We certainly also know that Trump has been keen on the diplomacy. He wanted a deal, and he's even saying this now. But what he is doing now is trying to leverage these attacks to push Iran back to the negotiating table. Of course, there are meant to be talks in Oman tomorrow. He's saying, do you want more of these sorts of attacks? Do you want to continue with this in a struggle with Israel where you are really outgunned? Or do you want to come and do a deal with me and we'll get something done, but it will have to equal the end of your nuclear ambitions? So it's a very dangerous gambit.